Hello, my name is Dillis. I'm the blogger at codesum.blogspot.com. I'm changing the domain name to siliconvanity.com. I will write about jobs, lifestyle, technology, and coding in the Silicon Valley. And here I want to do a quick tutorial on SQL. SQL is a language that people use to query database. So if you have data that's stored in your database, you want to use SQL to query it a lot of times. What can your database look like? It's a little hard to imagine it. And a lot of times it's hard for beginners to start with database. It's because database can be very tried and boring looking. It can be very overwhelming. It can look full of data, this is just some screenshots. It's not a real database. And to set up the database, it takes a while. You need credentials, you need the right software, you need the right driver on your computer, the right connection. It takes a while. So this is just for demonstration purpose. You don't have to follow along. It's just to show you SQL isn't that bad. I want to spend a couple minutes on database. You can imagine database is like a big Google spreadsheet or Excel spreadsheet, and it has different sheets. These are your tables. You have a customer table that may contain a number of columns, and the columns have meanings: first name, last name, email, and the rows are number of records. It can be like Kathleen, blah 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 at blah blah blah. But what's unique about database is usually each record actually has a unique ID. There you go. And there can be another table, transaction table. And it can contain something very basic, like amount, $50, and detail is subscription. So maybe somebody pay you a subscription fee. And you can give it it will still have like an ID. Let's say 1. It's like helping us format, which is not what we want. Let's say 1, 2. Oh no, I think it's amount. So let's delete that. That's not very good, but for demonstration purpose, we'll give it here. But you don't know who pay you this amount. Maybe you want to have a reference to the customer table in a column called customer ID. Let's say 1. And if I want to know who paid me this amount for subscription fee, I can go to the customer table and refer to ID 1. So Dillis paid that amount. And basically that's essentially how database works. It has tons of tables. Some of them are related to each other. Some of them are not. When it gets confusing, try to imagine them like a spreadsheet. So normally when I demo SQL, I would like to use the SQL Zoo. But unfortunately, they have a syntax error today. I don't know why. So I'm going to show you a different website to do it. You're going to type in W3 schools, try SQL. We're basically trying to have an interactive web page. We can try to write SQL without having to set up the cumbersome details. So this is really nice. It shows you what tables are in your database and how many records are there. This is very useful. So let's rewrite this from scratch. Select, capitalize, good practice, all, which is the asterisk sign. So you want to use Shift 8 on your keyboard for that. From customers table. Wow, you get everyone, which is really great. And what does this asterisk do? What if I just put customer name from it? Yes, you guessed it. It only shows you the customer name. The number of records is what the system gives to you. It's always a nice way to double check. It's very helpful. What if I want more than that? Well, I don't know what more columns are there. I can't remember anymore. So I have to use select all again. This is basically select all. And I can say customer name, comma, maybe address is helpful, comma, city. Why not? Now look, it conveniently displayed this. So that's really great. I just used some basic SQL, the select statement to be precise. That always has to be there. But what's nice is that all of a sudden, I'm able to shrink the customer table by a lot of columns. Now I can focus on the data that matters a lot to me. Okay, we're going to go back. Another very useful statement that I add on, a lot of people add on to the select statement is where. Select asterisk, select column name. Help you narrow down the columns you need. Where sort of helps you narrow down the records you need. So maybe some records you don't need that anymore. So let's say where city, which is the column name, equals to, I need to put this in quotes. Because otherwise, SQL is going to think it's a special command and it may error out. Okay, wow, there's only one customer from the city of Berlin. That's kind of surprising. What about anywhere else that might have more customers? Well, it seems like Mexico. Okay, quite a few from Mexico. Well, it has some caveat. Let's select London to keep things simple. So we're going to say where city equals to London. Okay, wow, 6 records, very nice. If I change this, if it's not exact, then SQL is not smart enough to know what you're looking for. So you need to know that. Wonderful. Okay, that was helpful. Then that's it. Really, you just wrote your first line of SQL. You can now look at the tables from different slicing and dicing, and you can narrow down to things better. It's sort of like a mini search function right here. You're saying, find me all the information about customers from the customer table. But make sure the customer is actually from the city of London. Really, a lot of times, SQL looks intimidating, but you just have to slow down and read it like English. Okay. There are some keywords. You can start to do cool tricks with SQL. You can add a count function from this, and it will tell you the number of records. This way, if there are a lot of records, you don't have to count. For example, let's say customer. Right. My customer table is supposed to have 91. But look, the system information changed here. It's just saying the result you asked me to return, there's only one row of that. So you can't always rely on this number. It's kind of nice to be able to use a count formula. It's sort of like an Excel function that allows you to get additional information, metadata, about your data. Don't worry about it if it doesn't make too much sense right now. What if you want to select it from more than one table? Another table, for example, categories. Very nice. Shows you the category. Oh, this must be the product category. There must be, customers must be able to order some products. Oh, great, I see products. Let's find products. Oh, it even know what to do. Okay, see here, that's what's very interesting. And quickly we can do some very advanced SQL here. To conserve space and to not repeat itself, database like to refer to another table's data, such as the category name, by a number. This is a really common practice. And each product has its unique identifier too. This is known as a key. This number is usually unique, so you can clearly identify which product we're referring to. This, on the other hand, the category ID in this column is called a foreign key because it's referring to another table where that key might be unique. So if we look at categories table, there's really 1 through 8. And now let's look at the product table again. Yeah, we pretty much see 1 through 8. But how do I know what category are these items, like this syrup? I have no idea. I have to click back and forth, click back and forth. And this is when the join statement become very useful. So let's not make it too complicated for ourselves. Let's look up how to do a join statement. SQL join statement. Sometimes Googling is your best friend, even for people who code a lot. Well, here's a nice example. We have select all. Remember, these are just column names. Don't be intimidated. Select all these details from the orders table. Inner join customer on orders equals to blah, blah, blah. Wow, this is getting really complicated. So let's try to dissect this. We already have the first two. We're going to do it from products table because that's the table we care about. Okay, wonderful. We're going to do inner join. There are different types of joins. We're not going to go too much into it. Inner join what? The other table we care about. Categories. Wonderful. On what? Remember, we said this category ID from this table connects to the ID from the categories table. So we're going to say products tables dot, use a dot notation to signify that's the column name, equals to categories dot ID. I might be saying this column name a little wrong. It might throw me an error. Oh, could not prepare a statement. No such column ID. I might have just done it a little wrong. Usually it's a capitalization issue. Let's guess. Nope. No luck. I'm gonna copy everything so I don't lose it. Just double check. Oh, it's actually called category ID too. How convenient. So let's just copy this over. Look, all of a sudden, it is connected. Look. Wonderful. It is still a little cumbersome. You can make this better. It essentially added this table, category table, to every single record. The correct category table record to every single record in my product table. Remember, product table was smaller. Let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 columns. Now, a bunch of columns got added. Oh, sorry. We lost everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 columns got added. And it's exactly the 2 columns from categories, minus the category ID. And that one already existed. So they didn't get displayed again, which is nice. Wow. This is very helpful. How about we make it fancier? One last time. Promise. Products table. Just repeat. Looks fancy, but remember we broke it down. It's not too bad. I don't want to have to cross-read this. It is very tough, right? This category ID is no longer helpful for me. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I don't even need the product ID. I just want to know the product name. I don't know much about the supplier ID right now. It's also numbers. So I'm just not going to display it. I'm going to display the category name and description, so I know what category we're referring to, and unit and price. Okay. Essentially, this is neat. We made our table look pretty pretty, and we really changed how the table looked like. This is very helpful. It's very readable now, and this is what a glimpse of what SQL can do. I might have made a few mistakes here and there. If I'm doing real SQL in a real database, I will double check a lot. I will check the count. I will check, make sure the record is same. I will spot check the record, make sure I'm getting the right. Because when you're doing these joins, if you're not careful with the joins, the result can really surprise you. But now for demonstration purpose, I just want to show you several things. SQL is not that intimidating. Database is not that intimidating either. You can think of it as an Excel sheet. The analogy should help you comprehend it. And be smart at using SQL can really help you simplify your result. Make it look really clean, readable, great for the human, and it is very fast. It is potentially much faster than Excel a lot of times. Excel is meant to be easy to drag and drop, but database is supposed to be fast. And a lot of times, it is better. It's easier to be consistent. It's secure. It is much better for enterprise to use. But Excel exists for good reason that it's easy to use. It doesn't require a whole lot of setup. But what I'm trying to say is, to learn the SQL language, you also do not need a lot of setup. We have a great number of web development tutorials, and there are a great number of SQL tutorials just like that. They are enhanced with these web-based interactive tutorials and interactive, essentially, input prompt that you can interact with the database and practice your SQL without knowing too much about the database. It's a fun exploratory journey, and it's not that bad.